Jenny. Okay. Hey, this past June, I was able to join our mission circle, 6 members from our parish, and went down to visit our sister parish, Lady Rosary, in Sabana Grande, Honduras. It had been 7 years since I'd last been down there, so I decided it's about time I get back down there, reacquaint myself, and now that Father Frank is in the vicinity, I was able to do that, so I'm very grateful to the presence of Father Frank. And little Sabana Grande is about an hour or so from the capital, Tegucigalpa, small little town. Nothing seemed to change in the 7 years, basically. Still the church there in the center of town, in front of the park. Actually, one big change, they now have taxis to go up and down the hills. Actually, they're little golf carts, like the villages up there, huh? All these golf carts. Well, that's the big change. In the town, but in the rectory, they fixed up the bedrooms, and we now have hot water. I don't know how they arranged that, but actually was able to have a hot shower. So that was a big plus to my surprise and delight. And people worry sometimes when we go there, worry about the food. The food was excellent. Probably eat better there than I do here. Truthfully, because it's all this fresh fruit. Sometimes they made juice for us from the fresh fruit and fresh vegetables, nothing frozen, nothing in a can. And it was prepared with tenderness and great love by the nuns who worked there in the kitchen. So it was really fantastic in that part. So it was really a wonderful visit that way. And my main part of my visit was, again, to reacquaint myself with what they do. And the 2 priests, the pastor and Father Jorge, a lot of their time and effort is going out to the, I think, 72 chapels they have all over the area. Up in the mountains, these roads. Space Mountain has nothing on these roads here. Up and down the bumps, and it's quite a challenge that way. But the highlight for me, though, was, each Sunday, one of our prayer requests is to pray that for the Women's Project in the Honduras. We say it every week so often that we probably don't even hear it any longer. I remember a couple years ago when they presented this, their goal was to provide this microloan to 500 women. I thought to myself, there's no way they're going to be able to do that. That's a huge number, 500 women. But thanks to the hard work of Jeannie and her team, she was able to attain a nice sizable grant. But also the little things we did here to raise money. We want to thank the Knights of Columbus who cooked those breakfasts for us, the spaghetti dinners. That was a big help, buying their arts and crafts. And we had that big movie during Lent. All that went together. So really, that was the highlight, because when we got together with some of the leaders, and I remember this to see their appreciation, these women, with the tears of joy and gratitude, to know that you made a difference in their lives. Not only 500, but actually 519. They're able to, support themselves and their families. So it's not just 500 women. Now you're talking about their children and perhaps their extended family. That's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. And when I saw their gratitude, how much they were appreciative, they made the whole trip worthwhile. It really did. And I want to thank you in any way you may have helped. Little things go a long way. Well, with that brief introduction, I'd like to now present J.D. and Donna will continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning. We have some pictures from our trip that we'd like to share with you this morning. A group of veterans made this 6th mission trip to our sister parish, Our Lady of the Rosary in Sabana Grande, Honduras this year. Donna Kinney, myself, Jesus Bernal, Grace Bernal, Dean Calise, Anna Bernal, and Father Tom.
That's me at the end there.
We stayed at the parish compound. It continues to be improved and expanded. There are now 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms for our use, as well as a sitting room and a large patio.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
One of our first accomplishments was to meet with Padre Andres to discuss the Women's Project. We were able to take $50,000, a grant from the Father's Table, and this will bring the number of women receiving microcredits to 519, as Father said, exceeding our goal of 500. And about half of that money was raised from parish sponsorships and the other activities that Father mentioned, and about half from grants. Thank you to all who helped us reach this goal by sponsoring women, buying from our boutique, and attending those pancake breakfasts, spaghetti dinners, and movie. Padre Andres wept when we gave him the checks, and he told us that we have made a tremendous difference in the lives of these women, their families, and their communities. We started each day with breakfast here in the nuns' dining room. We met with Annabelle, the director of the Women's Project, and women from the microcredit program, who are attending business classes.
Then we visited the bilingual school. It's in its second year and has 2 classes. This is a kindergarten class. There's a combination first and second grade, and we brought trail mix for the children, as well as computers and several bins of donated books and supplies. The children are loving and energetic and very bright. We brought vitamins, toothbrushes, toiletries to distribute to the villages, and we sorted them to make sure we had some for everyone. We also delivered several bins of medical supplies to Dr. Wendy and her co-worker, Victorio, at the clinic. Terry Toledo gathered these supplies all year long so we could help with materials that we take for granted, like sterile gloves and orthopedic braces. One evening, the parish council brought us dinner. We enjoyed getting to know the community leaders. Brian, who speaks some English, told us about his work with the youth group. The first village that we visited was El Espino. These 20 women formed one of the microcredit circles of the Women's Project. We met with them and asked questions and answered their questions. When we asked our questions, I asked the mothers how often their children got milk, and they said once a week, 1 glass a week. If there were more than 1 child, then maybe not that much. It's just too expensive. This group surprised us with a beautiful picture from their village that they painted for us. There were children in the classrooms next door, and Grace gave the children trail mix. Here, Dean and Jenny passed out toothbrushes. This is Padre Jorge, the new assistant priest from Mexico and Aníbal. We loaded into this truck for a rough ride that wound up the mountaintop through the moonscape, both rocky and steep, to the village of Algodon. Padre Jorge and Father Tom celebrated Mass. Then we gave out balloons, toiletries, and took a group photo. This is our friend Adelina and her son Pastor. Many of you have wreaths and nativities made by Adelina. We
visited a very unusual hospital in the village of Ohohona. It was founded by a French priest, Father Francis. His goal is to treat the poor with as much dignity and class as those who are well off. This is Senora Vilma Gonzalez, who led our tour, sharing the beautiful chapel. The stone forming the altar is very old and was used for making tortillas. We ended our visit to San Juan Vianney de Ars Hospital with an excellent dinner. Father Francis is seated between Father Tom and Jesus. We traveled from the beautiful hospital to the poor village of La Ceiba. Here the church was filled with over 70 children and their families. Friday was a very full day. It started with another meeting of the women from the microcredit program. This time there were over 80. Each microcredit circle has 5 officers, and there were 16 circles, now 24. These officers meet several times a year to share, and this meeting was planned to coincide with our visit. Each group of officers stood and introduced themselves and their village. They voiced their appreciation for the microcredit program and what it has provided not only for themselves and their families, but also for their communities. They also shared ideas to improve the program, and at the end, each group presented us with gifts. We learned that there are a few men in the Women's Project. And this little one stepped right up to photograph us at the head table. After we had met with all the officers, Anna and Grace provided childcare for the women so that they could participate more fully in their meeting. Meanwhile, Dennis and Aida arrived from Tegucigalpa to train 3 key people from Our Lady of the Rosary in the water purification program called Water with Blessings. Clean water is a huge need throughout the 72 villages of our sister parish. We were researching types of purification systems with the idea that we could start this as a new initiative next year. Then, while we were getting ready for this trip, we learned of Water with Blessings. This program was founded by a nun, a hospital engineer, and an architect, and first implemented in a gang-infested neighborhood of Tegucigalpa. The filter uses technology similar to that used in kidney dialysis, requires no energy, and produces 99.999% pure water for 1 million gallons, enough for 4 families' lifetime. Women are selected in a careful process to be water women and to minister to their communities. They agree to filter water for their families and 3 other families. After a special meeting, we decided to take 20 filters for this trip. Sister Lorraine, one of the founders, arranged for Dennis and Aida to come to Sabana Grande to teach the process. Here they are at the end of the training, getting ready to drink the water from that bucket. You may see on the table a plastic bag of socks for the filters. These are crocheted by volunteers, so if you're interested in helping the project in this way, let us know. Each filter costs $60, so we're looking for sponsors to provide more filters to take on the next trip also.
Later in the afternoon, we walked to an outdoor area for a Mass celebrating the Feast of Sacred Heart. Saturday morning, we went to the village of Las Uvas to celebrate a special Mass. After the Mass, dedicating their new chapel. After the Mass, we distributed toiletries, vitamins, and toothbrushes. We gave the children balloons as well. After lunch, we went to Opamuka. The village is the largest microcredit program with 40 women in it. It is also the most successful. This oil painting decorates the church. It was painted by one of the husbands of the women in the circles, and this circle has 40 women. She sells part of his paintings as part of her business. We again distributed toiletries, toothbrushes, and gave the children balloons. One of the funniest incidences on our trip occurred on the way back from Sabana Grande, or to Sabana Grande. When we reached the Pan American Highway as we descended from the mountain, right in the middle of nowhere, we saw a clown hitchhiking. So we stopped and he got in the back of our truck and stayed with us until we turned into Sabana Grande.
Sunday was a festive day, beginning with 7:30 Mass. Participants filled the church and spilled out to the street. Jesus did one of the readings, and Father Tom celebrated with Padre Andres and Padre Jorge. Father Tom also gave the homily in Spanish.
I tried.
It was the feast of Saints Peter and Paul, our church's feast day. As a visual aid, Father Tom used Dean as the rock. You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. He asked one of the men of the congregation to come up and hit Dean to show that he was strong and couldn't be moved. Ironically, without realizing it, Father Tom selected Dean's best friend in the community, Anibal, who hosted Dean for 2 visits. So instead, Anibal came up and gave Dean a big hug.
He wrote my homily.
There were many symbolic gifts at the offertory, including the U.S. and Honduran flags. Anna is carrying the Honduran flag. After Mass, Padre Andres received gifts because he was leaving for Spain for 3 weeks for his niece's wedding. The farewell tribute included this full mariachi band, and then we got a gift from the community of La Benta and Sister Sagradia. Immediately after Mass, the women from all 16 circles of the Women's Project had a fair in the park to display and sell their wares. We purchased items from each circle. We also saw many of the people that we have met during the years. Grace has to bend down to hug this tiny lady.
Anna poses here with other young people from the village. Sunday evening was a big dinner on the patio. As you can see, it was beautifully decorated. It was our farewell dinner, but even more so, it was a farewell dinner for Padre Andres. He received more gifts and tributes. Jenny spoke on behalf of our group here and in the morning Mass with a short speech which Jesus translated into Spanish. Early Monday morning, we bid farewell to the sisters, Maria Josefa, Cecilia, and Maria Adai. So that was our trip. The Mission Circle would like to thank everyone who has helped us fund the Women's Project and all the other projects. Our work is far from done in Sabana Grande, as the need continues to be great. So we welcome all of those who are interested in helping us continue to develop our relationship with our sister parish and continue our good works. We ask that you again support us today by visiting the Mission Circle Boutique in the vestibule in the front plaza of the church. We are blessed to be able to answer God's call and represent St. Peter's in this way. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for this opportunity to do so. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. And so I thank Jenny and the Mission Circle for your hard work throughout the year, and I thank you as well, any way you contribute. So it's nice to know that, we can do something somewhere. Every little bit helps, and at least for those 519 women, you've changed their lives, so I do thank you.